The night shift at Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station was usually quiet. Most operators spent their time watching endless streams of data, looking for any unusual patterns among the stars. Tonight was different. Tom Wilson sat up straight in his chair, adjusting his glasses as he stared at the readings on his screen. The energy spike near Jupiter's orbit wasn't like anything he'd seen before. At first, he thought it might be a glitch in the system, but after running 3 separate checks, the readings remained the same. "Sir," he called out to his supervisor, "you might want to take a look at this." Within an hour, the station was buzzing with activity. Scientists and military personnel crowded around monitors, discussing the strange energy patterns that seemed to pulse like a heartbeat in space. The decision was made quickly. Someone needed to investigate. Captain James Walker received the call at 3 a.m. Earth Standard Time. As commander of the Earth Space Patrol vessel, Resilient, he was used to unusual assignments, but this one felt different. His ship was the closest to the Jupiter sector, and their orders were simple: investigate the anomaly and report back. The Resilient was a sturdy ship, built for long-range patrol and rescue operations. It wasn't the newest or most advanced vessel in Earth's fleet, but it was reliable. Walker trusted it with his life, and so did his crew of 30. "All hands, prepare for long-range jump," Walker announced over the ship's comm system. "We're heading to Jupiter's orbit." Something interesting showed up on the deep space scanners. The journey took 3 days. As they approached the coordinates, the ship's sensors began picking up more detailed readings. Whatever was out there, it was big, really big. "Captain," called out Jack, the sensor operator, "I'm getting multiple large objects ahead." They're massive, sir." Walker moved to the main viewport, and what he saw made his jaw drop. Spread out before them, trapped in what appeared to be a shimmering web of energy, was a fleet of alien ships. Not just a few ships, hundreds of them. They gleamed like polished chrome in Jupiter's distant light, their designs unlike anything humans had ever seen. "Open all frequencies," Walker ordered. "Let's see if anyone's home." For several tense minutes, they broadcast standard greeting messages in all known formats. The response, when it came, wasn't in words, at least not at first. The nearest alien ship began to glow with patterns of light that rippled across its hull like waves on an ocean. The ship's computer worked to decode the light patterns, and suddenly, a voice filled the bridge. It was artificially generated, but clear. "To the Earth vessel, we acknowledge your presence. We are grateful for any assistance you might provide." The alien ship's surface continued to pulse with light as the voice explained their situation. They called themselves the Bright Ones, a name that made perfect sense given their ship's bioluminescent properties. Their fleet of 300 vessels had been trapped in this region of space for nearly 3 months, caught in what they called a gravitational snare. "Our drives," the alien voice explained, "they are too advanced. The more power we apply, the stronger the trap becomes. We have been unable to break free." Walker looked out at the massive fleet, their powerful ships rendered helpless by this strange phenomenon. The irony wasn't lost on him. These aliens, with technology far beyond Earth's current capabilities, were stuck in space like flies in amber. "This is Captain James Walker of the Earth Space Patrol," he responded. "We're going to need some time to assess the situation, but we'll do what we can to help." As he spoke those words, Walker couldn't help but wonder if humanity's less advanced technology might actually prove to be an advantage in this situation. Sometimes, the simplest solutions worked where the most sophisticated ones failed. "Stand by," he told the aliens. "I need to contact Earth. This is going to be one interesting report to write." The light patterns on the alien ships seemed to pulse with what might have been hope. For the first time in human history, Earth wasn't just making first contact. They were being asked for help by a civilization far more advanced than their own. The next few days would prove to be crucial not just for the stranded fleet, but for humanity's place in the galaxy. The news of the stranded alien fleet spread quickly across Earth. Within 48 hours, The world's top scientists and engineers gathered at the Global Space Command Center in Houston. The massive screen in the main hall showed live feeds from the Resilient, displaying the trapped alien ships glowing against the backdrop of space. Mike Stone, Earth's leading rocket engineer, stood at the front of the room, studying the data from the gravitational trap. He wasn't the youngest person there, but his eyes held the excitement of someone half his age. 20 years of solving space problems had taught him that sometimes the old ways worked best. "Their ships are amazing," he said, pointing to the detailed scans. "But that's exactly the problem. They're too amazing." The room fell quiet as Mike explained. The aliens' quantum drives were so advanced that they actually made the trap stronger. Each time they tried to escape, their energy output increased the gravitational field's power. It was like quicksand. The harder they struggled, the deeper they sank. "But our ships," Mike continued, a smile forming on his face, "our primitive chemical rockets might just be simple enough to work." Among the gathered experts was Dr. Lisa Reed, a physicist who had spent her career studying gravitational anomalies. She stepped forward, her tablet displaying complex calculations. "Mike's right," she announced. "The trap seems designed to capture advanced energy signatures. Our basic rocket technology might slip right through it." On the main screen, the Bright One ships continued their gentle pulsing. Their fleet commander, who humans now call First Light, appeared as a pattern of shifting colors translated into a human-like form on the video feed. "We have reviewed your proposed rescue method." First Light's translated voice echoed through the room. "We must admit, we did not consider using such basic technology. Are you certain it can generate enough force?" Mike walked closer to the screen. "Sometimes the simplest answer is the best one. Your ships are like trying to pull someone out of quicksand with a sports car. What you really need is a good rope and a sturdy truck." The light patterns forming First Light's image shifted in what the humans had learned to recognize as their version of thoughtful consideration. "We have been trapped here for 3 months, First Light said. "Our supplies remain adequate, but our people grow concerned. If your solution has even a small chance of success, we are willing to attempt it." The next few hours were filled with intense planning. Engineers calculated thrust requirements, physicists mapped the gravitational field's patterns, and logistics teams began coordinating what would become the largest space rescue operation in human history. They would need more than 20 space tugs, sturdy vessels designed to move space debris and help ships dock. Each one would be modified with reinforced cables and enhanced fuel capacity. It wasn't elegant, but it might work. "Think of it like a space version of towing a car," Mike explained to the alien representatives. "We'll attach multiple tugs to each of your ships and pull them out one at a time." The aliens' response came with a mixture of hope and what seemed like amusement. Their advanced civilization, capable of crossing galaxies, would be rescued by what they considered museum-piece technology. As the meeting concluded, First Light made an announcement that caused a stir among the humans present. "If you succeed in freeing our fleet," the alien commander said, "we will share certain technologies with Earth. Your approach to problem-solving is unique. Perhaps there is much we can learn from each other." The offer sent waves of excitement through the room, but Mike kept his focus on the immediate challenge. "Let's get them out first," he said. "Then we can talk about trading lessons." As the teams dispersed to begin preparations, Dr. Reed approached Mike with a concerned look. "You know there's no guarantee this will work, right? If we fail, we'll look like primitive fools." Mike watched the alien ships glowing in the distance on the screen. "Maybe," he replied. "But if we succeed, we'll show the galaxy that sometimes the simplest solution is the smartest one." Begin preparation for Phase 1. The next few days would test not just their plan, but humanity's ability to help a civilization that had mastered the stars. Sometimes, being less advanced had its advantages, and Earth was about to prove it to the galaxy. The next week saw the largest gathering of space vehicles in Earth's history. Space stations around Earth buzzed with activity as tugs and rescue ships arrived from every spacefaring nation. The Chinese sent their newest space tugs, Russia contributed their heavy lift vehicles, and the European Space Agency provided their best pilots. In orbit around Earth, engineer Anna Thompson floated inside the testing chamber of Space Station Alpha, working on what might be humanity's most important invention yet. Her latest creation was simple but crucial: a shield that would protect the rescue ships from the strange gravitational trap. The alien ships are like bright lights attracting moths, she explained to her team while adjusting the device. Our ships are already dim in comparison, but this shield will make them nearly invisible to the trap. The shield wasn't anything fancy, just layers of common materials arranged in a specific pattern. It looked like a patchwork quilt made of metal and ceramic, but tests showed it working better than anyone expected. While the rescue fleet prepared, the bright ones shared their knowledge with Earth. Their ships projected star maps onto the walls of Space Station Alpha's main hall, showing trading routes and inhabited worlds that humans had never imagined existed. Your solar system sits at a crucial point between three major trade routes, First Light explained through the translator. The alien commander's light patterns shifted to show different colors as they spoke. That's why we were passing through when we encountered the trap. Mike Stone watched the star maps with amazement, but his mind stayed focused on the rescue plan. He turned to First Light. We'll need to test the shield on a smaller scale first. Would you allow us to try it with one of your scout ships? The alien commander's lights pulsed in agreement. Our smallest vessel is approximately the size of your largest cargo ship. Will that suffice? Mike nodded. The size difference between human and alien ships was still shocking, but they had planned for this. 20 tugs would work together, like ants moving a large piece of food. Captain Walker of the Resilient coordinated with the growing rescue fleet. Each tug needs to move in perfect sync, he explained to the gathered pilots. Think of it like a carefully choreographed dance in space. The pilots came from different countries and spoke different languages, but they all understood the importance of their mission. Humanity's first chance to help an advanced alien civilization couldn't fail. Meanwhile, Anna's team installed shields on all the rescue ships. They worked in shifts, racing against time. The aliens were patient, but everyone felt the pressure to act quickly. The trap's energy readings are changing, Dr. Reed announced during one of the daily briefings. She pointed to the graphs on her screen. It's becoming more unstable. We might have less time than we thought. This news pushed the teams to work even faster. Engineers skipped sleep, technicians double-checked every connection, and pilots ran simulator after simulator to perfect their coordination. First Light shared more information about their own failed rescue attempts. We tried using our quantum fields to disrupt the trap. They explained, their light patterns dimming slightly in what seemed like embarrassment. Each attempt only made it stronger. Mike studied the data from these failed attempts carefully. Your technology is like trying to fight fire with more fire, he said. Sometimes you need water instead. Anna's team finished installing the last shield 3 days ahead of schedule. The fleet of rescue ships looked strange with their patchwork covering, but tests showed they barely registered on energy sensors. It's not pretty, Anna said, looking at her creation, but it doesn't need to be. It just needs to work. The final briefing was held in Space Station Alpha's main hall. Representatives from Earth's space agencies gathered alongside alien observers. The star maps still glowed on the walls, a reminder of what humanity might gain access to if they succeeded. Tomorrow, we attempt the first rescue, Captain Walker announced to the assembled crowd. 1 ship, 20 tugs, and if it works, we'll scale up from there. As the meeting ended, First Light approached Mike and Anna. The alien commander's lights shifted to a color they had never seen before. We have existed among the stars for thousands of your years, First Light said. Yet we find ourselves learning from those who have barely left their planet. Perhaps this is the universe's way of teaching us humility. Mike smiled. Let's save the lessons for after we get your people out of there. For now, we have work to do. The rescue fleet would launch at dawn. Humanity's biggest test was about to begin. The small fleet of 20 space tugs moved slowly toward the trapped alien ships. Each tug was covered in Anna's patchwork shields, making them look like metal quilts floating through space. Captain Walker watched from the Resilient as they approached the smallest alien scout ship. "All tug pilots, sound off," Walker called through the radio. One by one, 20 voices responded, each ready for their part in this historic mission. The alien scout ship glowed softly in the darkness of space. It was still 3 times larger than Earth's biggest spacecraft, but it was tiny compared to the other trapped ships. First Light's voice came through the communication system. "Our scout ship has powered down all systems as requested," they said. "We are ready to begin." The tugs moved into position, spreading out around the alien vessel like a flock of birds. Special cables, designed to handle extreme stress, shot out from each tug and attached to the scout ship's hull with magnetic clamps. "All cables secured," reported the lead tug pilot. "Ready to begin, pull on your mark." Walker looked at Mike Stone, who had insisted on being aboard the Resilient for this first attempt. Mike nodded, and Walker gave the command. "All tugs, begin pull sequence Alpha." Nice and slow. 20 engines fired up at once. The tug's simple chemical rockets produced streams of bright flame as they pulled against the gravitational trap. At first, nothing seemed to happen. "Power output at 40%, called out one pilot. 50%, 60%. The alien scout ship moved slightly, then stopped. The gravitational trap became visible around it, shimmering like heat waves on a hot road. "Something's wrong," Mike said, studying the readings. "The trap is adapting. It's like it's learning from our attempt." Suddenly, warning alarms blared across all channels. The trap's energy levels were spiking, creating new patterns they hadn't seen before. The cables connecting the tugs to the alien ship began to strain. "All tugs, abort," Walker commanded. "Release cables and pull back." Most of the tugs managed to disconnect in time, but 3 cables snapped instead of releasing. The recoil sent 2 tugs spinning away from the formation. The 3rd tug's shield was damaged, and immediately the trap began pulling it in. "Tug 17 is being dragged in," shouted the pilot. "Controls not responding." Walker didn't hesitate. "Resilient, move to intercept. Launch rescue pods." As the Resilient moved to save the struggling tug, Mike noticed something strange on his screen. He quickly checked the readings again, his eyes widening. "Captain," he called out, "look at these energy patterns. They're not random. This trap, it's artificial. Someone built this thing." The rescue of Tug 17 took 20 tense minutes, but finally all ships and crew were safe. The failed attempt had cost them 3 cables and damaged 4 shields, but they had gained something valuable: information. Back in the Resilience conference room, Mike showed his findings to First Light and Dr. Reed. The energy patterns displayed on the screen pulsed in regular intervals, like a heartbeat. "See these repeating sequences?" Mike pointed to the data. "Natural phenomena don't create patterns this precise. This is a machine, a trap specifically designed to capture advanced ships." First Light's light patterns flickered rapidly, a sign of surprise they had learned to recognize. A trap? But who would build such a thing, and why? Dr. Reed studied the patterns. Based on the energy decay rate, this trap could be thousands of years old, maybe tens of thousands. "That's why our simple technology partially worked," Mike explained. "The trap was designed to catch advanced ships. It's like an ancient snare that's still active after all this time." Walker joined them, looking concerned. "If this is a machine, can we turn it off?" "Better," Mike replied. "Now that we know what we're dealing with, we can work around it. The trap expects advanced technology to fight back. Instead, we'll go even simpler." He turned to First Light. "We need to completely power down your ships. No active systems at all. Make them as technologically dead as possible. Then we'll try something the trap's builders never expected: pure mechanical force, coordinated on a massive scale. First Light's colors shifted to what they now recognized as determination. "You believe this will work?" "The trap is sophisticated," Mike said. "Maybe too sophisticated. Sometimes the best way to be a complex system is to be so simple it doesn't know how to react." As the teams began modifying their rescue plan, Walker looked out at the trapped fleet. They had failed today, but they had learned something crucial. Humanity's primitive technology wasn't just an alternative. It might be the perfect tool for outsmarting an ancient alien trap. The next attempt would be different. They just needed to figure out how to be even simpler. The main control room of Space Station Alpha had turned into a makeshift archaeology lab. Screens displayed ancient energy patterns while Mike Stone and First Light worked side by side, trying to understand the trap's basic programming. "Look at this pattern," Mike said, pointing to a repeating sequence. "It's like a filter, scanning for specific types of energy signatures." He drew a simple diagram on his tablet, showing how the trap worked. First Light's body pulsed with blue-green colors as they studied Mike's drawing. "Our quantum drives must appear like bright flares to this ancient machine. Each time we try to escape, you just made it stronger," Mike finished. "But what if we went the other way? Instead of fighting the trap with power, we make your ships appear completely dead to it." Dr. Reed walked into the room carrying new sensor readings. Her usual calm expression was replaced with excitement. "Mike, you need to see this. We found something interesting in Earth's old space cleanup records." She pulled up images of space debris removal operations from the past decade. The pictures showed tugs moving dead satellites and old rocket parts using simple mechanical winches and cables. "The trap doesn't react to this kind of operation at all," she explained. "It's like trying to catch a fish with a net that has holes too small and too large at the same time." Mike's eyes lit up. "That's it. The trap is looking for energy signatures within a specific range. Anything too advanced gets caught, but anything too simple slits right through." First Light completed the thought, their lights pulsing rapidly. Anna Thompson joined them, carrying a modified version of her shield. "I've redesigned the shields to be even simpler," she said. "No power source at all, just specially arranged materials that naturally deflect the trap's scanning waves." The team spent the next 12 hours developing what they called Operation Deadweight. The plan was bold in its simplicity. They would make the alien ships appear completely lifeless to the trap. "Your ships need to power down everything," Mike explained to First Light. "Even your backup systems. You'll be floating in space like expensive rocks." First Light's colors shifted to what humans now recognized as concern. "Without power, our life support systems will rely on emergency chemical batteries. We will have 48 Earth hours at most. That's why we'll move fast," Captain Walker said, joining the briefing. He spread out a detailed operation plan. "We've called in every space tug Earth has. 30 ships working in teams. No fancy electronics, just pure mechanical power." The plan was like a massive game of space tug-of-war. Each alien ship would be surrounded by teams of tugs using simple winch systems and reinforced cables. The tugs would pull in coordinated patterns, guided by basic radio signals too primitive for the trap to notice. "It's like pulling a car out of mud," Mike explained to the gathered pilots. "Slow, steady pressure, and no sudden movements." Anna's team worked through the night, fitting the new passive shields to all the rescue ships. These shields weren't powered. They were just layers of materials arranged to scatter the trap's scanning waves. First Light gathered their fleet's commanders for a final meeting. The decision to completely power down their ships was not an easy one. These were people who had crossed galaxies using technology so advanced it seemed like magic to humans. Now they had to trust their lives to what they had once considered museum pieces. "Our ancestors," First Light addressed their commanders, their light patterns solemn, "built great ships that took us to the stars. But these humans show us that sometimes the path forward requires a step backward. The plan was set. They would start with the scout ship again, but this time everything would be different. The alien vessel would power down completely, becoming nothing more than an expensive piece of space debris in the trap's scanning system. Mike looked at the final preparations with a mixture of hope and worry. "You know what's ironic?" he said to Walker. "Their ships are so advanced that they never considered the possibility of using simple mechanical force. Sometimes being less advanced gives you options that high technology takes away." Walker nodded, watching the tugs move into position. "Let's just hope those options are enough to beat a trap that's been catching ships for thousands of years." In 12 hours, they would test their theory. The universe was about to learn that sometimes the simplest solution was the best one, even if it came from a species that had barely left their own planet. The moment of truth arrived as 30 space tugs took their positions around the powered-down alien scout ship. In the darkness of space, the massive vessel floated like a dead whale, all its lights dark for the first time in its existence. Captain Walker's voice crackled over the radio from the Resilient. "All tug teams, report status. Team Alpha, ready. Team Beta, ready. Team Gamma, ready." The responses came in one by one. Each team consisted of 10 tugs, their hulls covered in Anna's simple but effective shields. They looked strange, like patchwork quilts floating in space, but they were humanity's best hope for success. "First Light, is your crew ready?" Walker asked. The alien commander's response came through text only. They were using minimal power. "All systems shut down. We are operating on chemical backup power only. 48-hour countdown has begun." Mike Stone watched from the Resilience control room, his hands gripping the edge of his console. "Begin Operation Deadweight," he ordered. Nice and slow. The tugs fired their simple chemical thrusters, taking up the slack in their cables. These weren't the advanced quantum cables the aliens used, just strong, old-fashioned steel alloy ropes wrapped in protective coating. "Initial pull in 3, 2, 1. Pull," Walker commanded. 30 engines fired at once. The cables went tight. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the alien scout ship began to move. "It's working," Anna shouted, watching the sensors. "The trap isn't reacting. The ship's moving." The next hour was the longest of their lives. Inch by inch, the tugs pulled the scout ship free. When it finally cleared the edge of the trap's influence, cheers erupted across all channels. First Light's ship lit up again as they restored power. "Remarkable," the alien commander said. "Simply remarkable. Begin moving the rest of the fleet into position." But their celebration was cut short. Dr. Reed's voice came through with urgency. "The trap, it's becoming unstable. The energy patterns are changing." On the screens, they could see the gravitational field fluctuating wildly. The ancient machine, after thousands of years of operation, was finally starting to break down. "How long do we have?" Walker demanded. "At this rate, maybe 12 hours before total collapse." If that happens, Dr. Reed didn't need to finish. Everyone knew a collapse of the trap could destroy everything caught inside it. Walker made a quick decision. "All tug teams, minimal rest rotation. We're moving everything we've got. Every tug, every pilot, every ship we can spare. We're getting them all out now." The rescue operation turned into a race against time. As soon as one ship was freed, the tugs hurried back for another. The pilots worked in shifts, taking just enough breaks to stay alert. 6 hours in, they had freed half the fleet. The humans' simple but effective method worked again and again, but the trap was deteriorating faster than expected. Energy spikes increasing. Dr. Reed warned. "The collapse is accelerating." They were down to the last 50 ships when the trap began to pulse with dangerous energy. Pieces of space debris caught in its field started to break apart. "We need more time," Mike shouted, watching as the tugs struggled to maintain their position against the increasing gravitational waves. First Light made a decision. All remaining ships, divert emergency power to shields, protect the rescue vessels. The alien ships still trapped within formed a barrier with their shields, buying the tug's precious time to work. It was dangerous. Using power meant the trap could grip them tighter, but they had no choice. Hour after hour, ship after ship was pulled free. The tug's engines burned hot, their cables strained to breaking point, but they kept going. Pilots whose shifts had ended refused to leave, knowing every minute counted. With just 10 ships remaining, the trap's energy readings went critical. Lightning-like discharges crackled through space. The tug's simple shields, designed by Anna, were the only thing keeping them safe. Last ships moving into position, Walker announced. Everyone, maximum power. Pull them out now. In that final hour, humanity showed what they did best, refusing to give up, working together, using every bit of strength they had left. The last alien ship cleared the trap's edge just as the ancient machine reached its breaking point. All ships clear. Mike shouted, "Get us out of here." The combined fleet, human and alien, moved away at maximum speed as the trap finally collapsed in on itself, disappearing in a flash of light that lit up space like a new star being born. In the silence that followed, First Light's voice came through all channels. The galaxy will remember this day, not for the technology that saved us, but for the determination of those who refused to let us fall. 1 week after the Great Rescue, Space Station Alpha hosted the largest gathering of human and alien representatives in Earth's history. The station's main hall, usually austere and practical, now glowed with the soft light emanating from the 100 bright one delegates present. First Light stood at the center of the room, their light patterns creating beautiful displays that reflected off the station's walls. Before them stood the key figures who had made the impossible rescue possible: Captain Walker, Mike Stone, Anna Thompson, and Dr. Reed. 300 ships. First Light began, their translated voice filled with emotion. 300 ships and over 15,000 lives, saved by a civilization that has barely begun its journey to the stars. The irony is not lost on us. The alien commander's colors shifted to a deep blue gold that humans had never seen before. Our council has made a decision. Earth will be granted full membership in the Galactic Alliance, effective immediately. The announcement caused excited murmurs throughout the room. Normally, a species had to achieve faster-than-light travel on their own before being considered for membership. This was unprecedented. But that's not all. First Light continued. We wish to establish a permanent engineering exchange program. Your simple yet brilliant solutions have shown us that sometimes the most advanced answer is not the best one. Mike stepped forward, curious. Exchange program. Yes. First Light's colors sparkled. We will share certain technologies with Earth, but in return, we want to learn your approaches to problem solving. Your primitive solutions, as we once thought of them, have proven invaluable. Anna's simple shields had already attracted significant attention from the alien engineers. They had never considered using passive materials to deflect energy fields, always relying on active countermeasures instead. Captain Walker watched as human and alien engineers gathered around displays, sharing ideas. Some aliens were particularly interested in Earth's space debris removal techniques, technology they had long ago abandoned in favor of more advanced solutions. It's funny, he said to Mike. They can cross galaxies, but they still might need our help moving things around in space. Dr. Reed joined them, holding her tablet. The data from the collapsed trap is fascinating. The aliens have confirmed it was built by an ancient civilization called the Builders, who disappeared thousands of years ago. They left these traps as a way to capture advanced ships for study. And they never considered someone might beat them with simple rockets and cables. Mike laughed. The celebration continued as plans were made. Earth would receive help establishing its first colonies on Mars and the Moon. In exchange, human engineers would help design new hybrid systems that combined advanced alien technology with simpler, reliable backup methods. First Light gathered everyone's attention one final time. There is an old saying among our people: the strongest chain needs both rigid and flexible links. We had forgotten this wisdom, becoming too reliant on our advanced technology. You have reminded us that true strength comes from having many different solutions, not just the most sophisticated ones. The alien commander's light patterns shifted to display images of the rescue, showing the simple tugs pulling their massive ships to safety. From this day forward, Earth will be known throughout the galaxy not just as a member of our alliance, but as the people who taught the stars that wisdom comes in many forms. The next few months would be busy. Earth's space programs would expand rapidly with alien help. Human engineers would travel to distant worlds to share their expertise in practical problem-solving. The galaxy would learn that sometimes the best solution was the simplest one. As the ceremony ended, Mike found himself looking out the station's window at Earth below. A bright one ship passed by, its hull glowing softly against the backdrop of stars. Next to it, a small space tug moved steadily along, looking plain but proud. "You know what this means?" Anna asked, joining him at the window. Mike nodded. "It means humanity has something unique to offer the galaxy. Not the most advanced technology or the biggest ships, but the ability to solve problems in ways nobody else would think of." She finished. Outside, more ships were arriving. Human and alien vessels working together, each bringing their own strengths to humanity's new future among the stars. The galaxy was about to learn that being advanced didn't always mean being the best, and that sometimes the simplest solution was the most brilliant one of all. Earth had taken its place among the stars, not by following the expected path, but by showing that there was always another way, a simpler way, to solve even the most advanced problems.